Hi, my name is Netta. I am a personal stylist. I am so excited to share a conversation with Pearl today.
Hey everybody, it's Pearl Sharenza, and I'm so excited to come back with another Conversations with Pearl. And today is no different. We're going to have a lot of fun, learn some really cool things, talk about self-care. And today I have Netta Manley. She is a former fashion editor and fashion columnist turned personal stylist. As an editor, she worked with celebrities and models for magazine covers, including one of my favorites, Jennifer Gardner, Misha Barton. She is the founder of the Ageless style program, which has helped thousands of women over 40, yes, lean into their authentic style so that they can have the confidence to live out their calling in life. And who doesn't need more confidence, especially as we get older, right, Netta? I mean, we get this
Yes.
like, oh, I'm getting old. I have this, I have that. So welcome to the show. I'm so
Thank
excited to
you.
have you. You're welcome. So I always like to kind of go back a little bit in time when we get started and just tell us, why this? Why help women over 40? But where did you start? Like what was it that said, this is my path? And then you finally find that niche.
So I have only ever worked in fashion. I obsessed with fashion from a really young age, but it wasn't just fashion. I was a fashion writer. I wanted to be a writer and I wanted to write about fashion. So those two things were a package deal for me. And so right out of college, I got a job. It was South Beach when it was like just taking off. I got a job as a magazine writer and then quickly became the magazine editor when the other editor quit. So I was 23 years old, living in South Beach, working as a magazine editor, doing fashion spreads, going to all the cool events. It was just such a fun and exciting time to be starting my career. And so I have worked and magazines were my passion. They were just my happy place growing up. Like from the age of 10 on, I was obsessed with fashion magazines. I read all the trend reports. I made lists of beauty products that I could use when I would be able to use beauty products finally. Like I just was obsessed. So I knew I wanted to work in magazines. And so that's what I got my start doing. I eventually launched a magazine with a friend. And we were in Boston. We launched a fashion magazine together. I was the editorial side. She was the publishing side, the sales side. We went to Fashion Week. We worked with celebrities. We worked with famous stylists for covers. We worked with big brands like Chanel and Armani. It was just a really, really fun time to be in fashion in the late 90s. And then I got married and I wrote a beauty book and decided I wanted to start writing for myself. Exited the magazine and wrote a beauty book. When I got the book published, my agent said, you should really start a blog. I was like, I didn't even know what a blog was. This was back in 2006, 7. So I started my blog in 2007. At the time, it was called Beauty Mommy because it was all about my quest to keep it together when I had two young kids. In that stage when you're like, oh my goodness, it's hard enough to I can't even get out of my bathrobe today. Like the very beginning, that hit me hard. That hit me hard because I was not prepared. I thought I was just going to keep going and I was just going to still be stylish. And I was always about fashion. I just did not think that anything was going to slow me down. And I was like, oh, this is hard. And so it was all about that. And then eventually I transitioned it into Netta Manley style. But in the meantime, I was also writing a fashion column for our local paper. And then people started coming to me because of the blog and because of the column to help them with their wardrobes. So I went and got my personal styling certification, and I've had multiple since then. But I said, okay, I want this to be official. I was just kind of doing it for my friends. And I said, I really want to get some training around this because magazine cover styling and real woman, real life, real body styling was very different. Yeah. So at the same time, I turned 40 and then I turned 45. Then I realized that my audience was growing older with me. And I realized that, oh my gosh, I thought being a new mom and trying to keep it together was challenging with style. Being 40, 45, 50, now I'll be 54 this month. Oh my gosh, it's a whole other ball game. And so I really became so passionate. I very passionately believe that style is a tool that we can use to set ourselves up for a confident and productive day. And so I just got really, I have a heart for women in their 40s, 50s, 60s. I have women in their 80s in my program, making them recognize their God-given beauty. Like I just feel very passionately about that. I feel like we're born to be beautiful, and it's an extension of our femininity and of our womanhood to like take care of ourselves and to make ourselves look and feel good. And so my goal is to help you figure out the style piece. I always say clothes are simple. I can't help you with the rest of life. I wish I could. Can't help you with your finances. You do not want me to help you with your finances. You do not want me to help you with health or wellness. I can't help you work out, like none of that stuff. Style is what I do. I can simplify it for you so that you can check that clothing box every day, get dressed, and go on with your day. So I think there's a misconception that we need to be obsessed with style to be stylish. And I'm here to say it's not about being obsessed with style. It's about checking that box, looking good every day, and then getting on with your life.
Oh my gosh, I wrote so many different nuggets. So those that are listening, I always keep a notebook near me because I'm like, I just don't want to miss any nuggets. It's just such great information. But I mean, let's go back for a second. Like those that are listening, like think about when you were 23 years old, right? And you're working your first job, and then all of a sudden you step into this role of just put on the hat for you, the editor, right? But like if you were thinking about that, who is that leader in your life? Like you have to step into that role. And at 23, that's a big responsibility. Like, because magazines are, I've been in magazines. I've never done a magazine. Don't want to. That's not my jam. Ever going to happen. I will write you an article all day long if you want me to. But even doing the articles are a lot of work. So I can't imagine and then also I'm doing books, like being the editor of a magazine. And, I know there's a certain number of words, the fonts, there's so much that goes into it that we don't think about it. And I'm thinking 23 years old. I mean, I have a 24-year-old son. I'm thinking, wow, that's a ton of, responsibility. Plus you want it to be successful. You want to make sure you're reaching your readers. How was that? Like, how did that feel like for you? Was it like, I mean, I know when we're younger, like you said, we're just like, we could do anything, right? We think we can do
Yes.
it all, right?
I felt invincible,
No, I love
because
it.
I was 23, but I remember walking in the very first day. I told my daughter the story yesterday after she complained because she had 40 minutes to write a 5-paragraph essay. And I said, you want to hear what my very first job experience ever was? I walked in the very first day at that magazine, and the editor said, the publisher said to me, we have to pull the story from this issue. The issue is about to go to print. Here are some press releases about the Miss Universe pageant that just happened here. I need an article in half an hour. It's like, what? You need what? Like, I'd never written anything in half an hour in my life. I was like, oh my gosh. So I sat down and I just did it. I was like, I didn't have a choice. So I just did it and I just figured it out. I wrote that article and he loved it and it ran in the magazine. And so because I didn't have anything else to do career wise, I mean, I was like, I'm all in on this magazine. I'm just going to hang out here and wait for him to hand me articles to write. And I did. And because he could tell I was so committed, and I got interviews with people he wasn't able to get interviews with just by going there and just being like, hey, can I talk? So he said, when the editor left, he said, will you fill in? And I remember, I had people literally twice my age coming in and handing in articles. Back then they were on discs, or sometimes they would hand write it or type it with all sorts of scratchy notes on it. And I had to make sense of it. And I had to edit the words of someone who was twice my age. And I was just like, oh, and then, figure out like how, the editorial calendar, the content for the whole issue, all of that. I loved it. I was like, this is what I was born for. Like, I have been preparing for this my whole life with my Vogue obsession, and reading every magazine I could get my hands on. It was like, my time has come. So I loved every minute of it. And we started at noon and then didn't end until like midnight pretty much every day, because we would go to events in the evening and all this social events that were happening in South Beach, and I would write about those and they would go in the magazine as well. So it was a really, really fun, exciting, creative, kind of chaotic time.
And I love you said that, the word invincible, because sometimes we can hold ourselves back, like being like, I mean, some people, even at 23, even today at 54 and 60 plus years old, some people might be like, oh my God, that's too much. That's going to freak me out. I don't think I can do it. But to take that leap to say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to fall forward and it's going to work or it's not going to work and I'm going to learn a lesson from it, right? And I
Yeah.
think too, like I can see how that sort of shaped how your journey went as well. Like you didn't let not I just in following you and getting to know you and talking to you before we got on here, I can tell that you're the part about being invincible means like I'm going to go after the world. Like I could see that you have that energy. If you're not watching, you have to go watch us on YouTube as well, because the energy just comes right through the screen for me, and I just love that. And the thing too that you said too was you taught your daughter the lesson, right? You gave her the example of saying, yeah, let me just sit down and tell you, it can be hard to be thrown something so big at you. And let me show you it can be done, right? And it's possible. You just have to take that, that mindset of saying, I can do this instead of I had somebody ask me yesterday in an interview, what do you do when you feel like you wake up and you're always like, oh, the negative thoughts, right? Like thinking about that mindset of flipping the switch and going, yeah, I have to do these 5 paragraphs in 40 minutes. And I get to share something that I love, right? Like
Yeah.
kind of switching it up, and like you kind of, like you said, you were waiting for it, your Vogue, like you said, your Vogue obsession, like you were prepared. This was like, as a little girl, this is like, I want to go do this. And then to do it I mean, I live in Florida, I'm in Tampa, to do it in South Beach. I mean, what the heck? That's so incredible. I also wrote down, because you made the comment that you grew older with your audience,
Yeah.
right? Excuse me. And so what I think is really cool is that I wrote down before you even said that, I wrote journey equals evolution of our life, right? Our
Yeah.
journey of what we can share with one another, what we do in our business is truly that evolution. Like our audience grows with us. So if you're listening and you're thinking about starting a business, start now and then think about the journey that maybe you can bring your clients on. I mean, we're going to be making an announcement about our podcast and our YouTube channel shortly. And it really is been about my evolution of where I've come from, what I've been through and what has shaped me today. And so I love that you remind us that it is a journey, that life is a journey. So let's talk about that a second. Let's talk about, that evolution, like your audience growing with you. What were some of the things, we're very close in age, we're not too far apart. So what were some of the things that, because I like what you said too, style is a tool and you're born to be beautiful. And that you also said clothes are simple, right? So clothes are simple. And so, because sometimes we walk into the store and we're like, oh, I don't know what to pick, and so I just love that you shared all that. So talk to us about that evolution, about how you went from helping that. And I remember those days, the crazy mom, oh my God, I got to be here, I got to go there, and I got to go to work. So walk us through, like, what did you see as you started in the beginning? What have you seen, some of the trends, some of the challenges that, because we talk a lot here about self-care, right? So what is some of the things you've seen along the lines of like self-care and challenges through this evolution of the journey you've been on?
So I think there's such a different place that you're in when you've got young kids. And so at that point, I was there, I was in it with them, and I was trying to encourage everyone, let's keep it together. Let's encourage each other. Let's put on something every day that makes us feel cute, but still allows us to chase our toddler around. So it was that phase of life. And I feel like things were a little bit simpler then. I was an older mom too. I had my second baby, my first at 36 and my second at 37. So but I had been in the fashion industry, and I knew that this was now a new phase in my life and a new challenge I wanted to tackle, and I wanted to help other women do it too. So talking about the self-care involved in getting ourselves ready for the day, so that we did not spend 3 or 4 days in the same baggy sweatshirt or t-shirt and feel awful, like feel like we've just let ourselves go. The importance of doing that for ourselves, for our husbands if we're married, like for our families, just all of that. And then as I got older, the term beauty mommy, which was my initial brand, started to feel less and less authentic to me. It started to feel less about where I was. At this point, I was a homeschool mom when my girls were middle school. And I just was like, I am in my mid to late 40s at this point. I'm like, I'm just the beauty mommy. My audience isn't there, and I'm not there in that thick of it anymore. And I feel like it just wasn't as it, I wanted to share what had worked for me, as well as the profession from the professional angle as a personal stylist and a fashion editor. So I wanted to combine both of those, and I just couldn't speak to that diaper stage anymore, because I wasn't there, and I wanted to, I wanted to move on. I was ready to move on, and I also knew that dressing my 45-year-old body and 55-year-old body is very different than dressing my 35-year-old body. So I wanted to address that, and also the challenges with the fact that there is a massive conspiracy of ugly clothes for women over 40. Like it is, I mean, I just want to say, like, they say, oh, you're 40? Here, let us usher you into the ugly clothes department. And you should wear really big splashy prints because maybe nobody will notice how old you are. Like I was just like, what? Like I did not suddenly, when I crossed the 40 or 45 or 50 threshold, suddenly go blind, although I did start needing readers. I didn't suddenly go blind. I can still see that those are ugly clothes. Thank you. I thought they were ugly at 35. I still think they're ugly at 45 and at 55. They haven't gotten any cuter. So, like what are they doing, and the marketing and the focus that for women over 40, over 50 in style is very problematic, and it really keeps us from looking. So the problem is that women will walk into certain stores and they buy new clothes, and it's one thing when you're not trying to look good, like when you're intentionally being really casual and you're just in your comfy, cozy, stretched out clothes. It's another thing when you're making an effort and you still don't feel like you look good. You still feel like you're falling short or missing the mark. And that's not your fault. It's the clothes. It's not you. It's the clothes. It's not you. It's the clothes. I say that all the time. It's not you. It's the clothes. If you walk into a specific store and you buy their, latest look, their cute outfit of the week or day or whatever, you're going to walk out feeling frumpy and looking frumpy because those clothes are frumpy. So it's really about, training your eye to see what looks modern and what looks fresh and what looks contemporary, because that is going to make a big difference in how you go about your day.
Oh my God, you still resonate with me. I was like doing the calculations. My oldest son we adopted, I was 32, and my younger one, I was like 35, 36. So like that's
Yes.
whole age. And what you said too was like, and I know because like when I would go into stores, I'm like, "Ugh," like I don't, there are certain stores I won't name the names that I go into. I'm like, gosh, could you just like do something, And I think that's true. And if you're, for those that are listening in that industry, you are totally missing the mark of those of us that are in that 40 to, 45 to 65 years old. And it's so funny because, and if she's listening, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it, mama, but I remember not too long ago looking in a mirror and I was like, I remember how my mom looked. I'm going to be 60 this year, right? I remember how my mom looked at 60 and I'm like, I don't look like my mom did at 60 because I intentionally go out like you were talking about, the shopping, the like that dressing, right? The fun and the modern stuff. I love to dress for fun. I just like the other day, last week, I spoke at a summit that was here in Tampa and they had a VIP night. I find fun things and I buy it because I'm like, I want to feel fun. And that's who I am with my brand, right? So I have these like they're flat, almost look like sneakers, and they've got these pearls and gems and stuff all over it. And I had a dress on, and when I looked at the picture though, I will say I wish the dress was a little shorter, but I love the dress. And I everybody walk around, oh my God, Pearl, I love your shoes. I just like that fun. I don't want, like you said, I don't want to feel frumpy. I don't want to feel like, I'm wearing my grandmother's clothes. And yeah, maybe I am a grandmother's age, However, I still don't mean I want to dress like that, like my son's getting married in October and I'm looking at some of the dresses and I'm going, "Ugh, no, I'm not like, no, that's just not, no, that's not going to work."
Can I speak to that?
Yes.
Do not use the mother of the bride filter on any website.
Oh,
Don't. Just look at formality level. cocktail, evening, whatever.
That's what I've been
Fil-
doing. Yes.
Filter by that. Oh,
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
wide filter means all the ugly dresses are going to come in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. In fact, my friend owns a bridal shop up the street from here, and this is where it's where my future daughter-in-law bought her dress too. And she's going to Atlanta in next month, and it's around the time I'm going to do a TV interview in Atlanta. I'm like, hey, how about I come with you? Because she's going to do the Atlanta garment, whatever they have every
Oh,
year for the
yeah.
clothing. And I'm like, why don't I come with you? Let's go look at some cocktail dresses and stuff. She's like, you're so on right. She's like, don't look at those fruffy. But I mean, you're right. We walk in and I walk in I love to do things for fun, and some people go, and I think a lot of because I do that, when people hear my age, they don't think I'm going to be 60. I hear
No.
often, and I think it's because I dress for the way I want to feel, the way I feel inside. I don't feel like when I say I'm going to, like right now, I'm telling me I'm 60, and my girlfriend the other day goes, your birthday last year, I thought you turned 59. I'm like going, oh yeah, I did. But I'm like, see, I don't care, and I remember now telling my granny when I would stay with her in upstate New York. I remember telling her, she's like, "Oh, I'm so old." I'm like, "Granny, you're only as old as you feel. Come on, I mean, like, let's get up and dance." And I was just a little girl, but I think back then I realized life is fun, and for me, I mean, and I think that also goes to your self care. You have to have fun and create that fun in your life so that you can feel good. And maybe you are listening to us and you are 80 years old and you're just like, get up and dance, go for it, girl, because life is so short. I mean, those who watch and follow me, we lost our oldest son 18 months ago in a tragic car accident. And I could have let that aged me. I could have let that like show, but he didn't see me he saw me live my life fun. And that's what I want to continue doing. And I want to go back. One thing I wrote down was community. When you started to share about your journey, I wrote community because you shared how you no longer were in that diaper stage, right? But you were creating this community, and that's the one thing. Like knowing if you're listening to us talking, I think what you pointed out, Nada, is so important for the listener to understand that if you are in a business, sometimes we think we want to serve all, right? But we can't serve all because we're not on that journey to be able to understand how, like we're talking. If you're 23 years old, you're not on a journey to understand how a 45, 56-year-old wants to dress, right? Because you're not been there, right? You don't understand unless you're doing market research and you want to help that marketplace, then that's different. So as somebody who has evolved to the young age of 50s and 60s, we necessarily can't talk to that, like you said, that diaper age. So I remember I used to tell I help women. And then as I started really getting into it, I'm like, no, really, the women I'm helping are like that 40 plus age, that midlife age that they're hitting into on creating balance. But I pay it backwards a little bit when I do talk about to the younger to say, hey, don't feel like just because you're a young mom, you can't have time for self, right? So I try to pay that question back. If you were to talk to your younger self, what would you tell her, kind of thing. I'll do that in my coaching in regards to that. But I love that you have created a community, and that you've taken your community on this journey with you, right? So what I would love to know is like, what are some of the things you're doing today? Because we talked about, one of the things we talked about, clothes are simple, right? So for that person who's listening to us that is no longer in the diaper age, that is joining us in the young age of the 40s plus, when they go into, and we're talking about the stores, give them some tips of some things they can do when they walk into the store so they don't walk out feeling frumpy.
That's a great question. So first of all, I would say start in a department store, or I feel like our specialty stores over 40 need to be we need to change our mindset about them. So we need to go into stores like J. Crew, Anthropology, Loft, Banana Republic. Those need to be our new 40 plus stores, and not some of the stores that are traditionally catering just towards the over 40 market, because they have what I call modern classics. You want to look for modern classics in your wardrobe and not dated classics, because a lot of people like to label things as classic, and you're like, well, that was classic 15 years ago. There's no such thing as really, truly, truly classic. There are very few things that have not been updated. Maybe the trench coat is one that comes to mind, but there's almost nothing that doesn't hasn't every 10 years experienced a major a shift. So you want to go to the stores that are selling the modern classics. These are also stores that have broad size ranges and also different lengths. So they're a really great place to pick up the staple pieces in your wardrobe. I have a wardrobe from scratch list. It's 12 items, and it's really just the basic pieces that we all know about. It's a jacket and a tee and a pair of jeans and like those pieces, but you want those pieces to come from the modern classic stores, the J. Crew, the Anthropology, the Loft, and stores like that. So that's one thing. The second thing is maybe when you're in a department store, you want to look at a section called a contemporary section. So there are brands that are classic brands. They are brands that have been around. We all know them. Many of them are brands that have been around a long time, but it's not the age of the brand, it's the age of the target audience that is an indicator of these classic brands. And these are brands that are aimed at women over 40, over 50. You want to avoid these brands whenever possible and shop modern brands. Now, if you go on like the Nordstrom website or the Bloomingdale's website and you filter by contemporary brands, you're going to see these brands come up. And they include, there are a lot of under $100 brands and a lot of over $100, they're all different price points, but brands like Veronica Beard and Topshop and, Anine Bing and Nelly Latan. These are all contemporary brands. And what you want to do is you want to start training your eye. You want to look at the items that the contemporary brands are coming out with. And then if you've got a favorite classic brand that you like to shop, fits you well, you like the quality, whatever that reason is. Once you've trained your eye and you've spent 10, 15 minutes scrolling through the contemporary brands on your favorite department store's website, then you can look at the classic brands and make the best purchase, because those brands have great items and awful items. You want to separate the two, and you want to just bring the nice pieces into your wardrobe. And to do that, you've really got to be paying attention to what is happening currently in style. I love what you said about fun, because I think I have given up on personal style categories. I don't find that they work for anybody, but I feel like there's a common thread that needs to go through all of our style. And so while you're looking for the modern classics, you should also be looking for a personality piece. And the shoes that you just described, those were a personality piece. I also have, the word that I use is creative. It's fun. I always have a fun element in my outfits as well. Today I'm wearing silver high-heeled Mary Janes. So there's always a fun element, and there's always a feminine element in my style. So think about what does this piece say about me? Is it really an extension of who I am? Because authentic style is dressing like yourself unapologetically, and that can really be a game changer when it comes to confidence. Because if you find a brand that just resonates with your personal style. Farm Rio is a brand that resonates with my personal style. Every time I see their items, I'm like, oh my goodness. It's like they know me. They made that for me. So you want to find those brands, and you want them to be in the contemporary brand section, and really start building that wardrobe that looks contemporary. And the way to do that is to look at what's out there, pay attention to what's happening in style, so that we don't look at our hair and our makeup and our clothes don't look exactly like they did 10 years ago. That's when we start feeling and looking old.
Yeah, that's all great advice. I wrote, like I never thought about looking at like actually saying, do my filters about contemporary brands. That's so and you know what? I'm gonna have to go into the J. Crew and the I haven't been there in years since my kids, so I used to go there with my boys, but I'm gonna have to go back in there and kind of relook and reopen my eyes a little bit for that. I love that you said that. I remember it's no longer around. I know it's online, but I remember when Steinmart went out, I was really disappointed here because I'm short, right? But that was a store I could go in and get like the contemporary stuff and some of the newer styles that were out. And oftentimes I would be shopping in department areas of there. I was never in that 40 plus area of that store, but I was always in that more younger, and I always had fun. I mean, in fact, I'm very, so I'm going to share more of my fun. I love to wear jeans that have some sort of statement on it, right? So a lot of times, and even if they're not, like I wore these jeans, I hadn't worn them in a while. I wore them the other day, like, oh, Flair's coming back. I'm like, Flair's been around for me forever. I don't care when it comes or goes, right? But I love jeans that have some sort of statement, either at the bottom, like mostly at the bottom, right? So I have some that kind of flare out. I have one that has like this really pretty intricate lace thing at the bottom. Because to me, that's fun, and it's not the typical I feel like jeans are jeans, right? Sometimes sometimes, but to find those things that are fun to the point that now when I go places that, during COVID, because we all were so locked in, but when I started going back out and being more active, even now, people are like, oh my gosh, Pearl, I love that. I forget how fun you dress. Right. So it's that. And I think that's why too, that again, like I say, I don't feel like people think that I'm my age I am, because I do try to have, and I mean, I'm going to do that filter for the contemporary thing too. I love that. And that personal piece, I think that's so important to like what sets you apart. Like for those that are not watching, I mean, I have, Pearl is my name, Pearl is my brand. Everything I wear pearls. I have pearls on my sleeves right now. Nana has pearls on her ears, and I have the same. But I try to do that. So, but sometimes I do it so often that I try to find something that's different. And then what's so funny about that is when I wear something different, people are like, you don't have any pearls on today? I'm like, oh my God, I'm so naughty.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Like me with color, people know that I usually have some colorful, like there's something poppy about my outfits, So, we can't underestimate the ability that our clothes can have on the people around us. I was at a grocery store. I just told the story a couple days ago. I was at a grocery store, 10 o'clock at night, buying a million gingerbread house decorating kits for my daughters and nieces and nephews to do a contest together, and I was wearing hot pink, like a hot pink head to toe suit, and there was a man who was very, very, very old walking by me, and then he walked back and he was like, you look like a breath of fresh air. And I was like, oh, so like I do feel like it's strange. I mean, even just now I was picking up my prescription and I'm in line, and people were looking over, and it's not, I think people are just not used to seeing people dressed anymore. And I think when you do dress, you uh, it's strange. Like, is it now, are regular pants just dressy now? Is it just dressy to just wear regular pants? Like, you can't just wear, like, I'm wearing, a pair of wide leg jeans and I'm wearing like a lacy blouse. Is this now considered super dressy? And now people are like, oh, she's not in leggings. Like, is that what we've come to? I sort of think it is, because I'm not super dressed up, but no matter what I'm wearing, it is a little bit different than what people around me are wearing. And I think that kind of is a little lift for people's spirits. I found that to be the case.
Yeah, I agree. And I think too, like I like what you talked about is like, you know, making that statement, but also like that, because we do need to inspire others, and we do need to, like that gentleman said, have that breath of fresh air in our life, and do
Yeah.
something different. I'm such a my colors are a lot are like the navies and the likes and the pink, that's just me. And I feel like it's just so much fun that sometimes when I put other colors on, I'm like, oh, I forget how yellow can look on me. I have to remind myself to go outside that comfort zone, right? Because we don't, sometimes we get too comfortable too. And
Yeah.
stuff. So to the person that's listening that wants to, is like, okay, I'm looking in my closet right now and it's very frumpy. What's the first thing that like somebody can do to let's go to the staple. You mentioned the 12 items you have, and I don't know if that's a free download. If it is, we'll definitely
Yes.
share it. But what's like on that list? What's some of the first, like, give us the three main items that we should have if we're ready to make a change, but we're scared to death to go all in because we have been dressing and feeling kind of frumpy. What are some of the things that if they go to the store today, what are three things they should walk out of the store with?
So I would say you want a top or a blouse that you can dress up or down. It can be a white button down, it can be a silky blouse, it can be a silk blouse, but you want it to be something that you can wear with jeans. You want it to be something you could wear with a pencil skirt. You want it to be really versatile, and you want it to be in a beautiful neutral color for you, and a solid. These are going to be solid pieces, because you want that maximum versatility out of these items. You want a great fitting pair of jeans. And if you're not a jeans person, you should become a jeans person. Just kidding. If you're not a jeans person, then a great fitting pair of neutral pants, and then you want a great jacket. Now, the jacket can be any style. It can be a blazer, which you can dress up or down. It can be a moto jacket. It can be a utility jacket. It can be a little denim jacket. But you want that third piece, and you want to look for pieces that fit you beautifully, are modern without being really trendy, are just simple. And keep in mind that details date. We should save details for the statement items, but for these modern classics that you're building your wardrobe around, you want them to be as simple as possible because that's how they're not going to go out of style. If you have a statement top from 5 years ago, it's out of style. If you have a classic top from 5 years ago, it's still in style. So you want these to be, and you want to consider spending a little bit on the higher end of your price point for these because you're going to wear these items to death and you want them to fold up. So those would be the pieces I would start with. The other thing I would say is if you're looking at your wardrobe and you're finding your wardrobe frumpy, this is not meant to be a plug, but I do have something that I came up with called the Reverse Closet Edit Boot Camp. And it is a backwards closet edit where rather than eliminating the items in your wardrobe that you know you don't love, that don't fit, that make you feel frumpy, that make you feel yuck, instead you're going to identify the items in your wardrobe that are either your go-to items right now that you reach for and the items in your wardrobe that you love. So those are the only two items that make it into your reverse closet edit. So what you do is you pull your favorites from your wardrobe and then you assess those and you decide what's missing. When you pulled your favorites, did you just pull out tops and you realize you have no bottoms? No one wants to go bottomless. Did you notice when you pulled your favorites that you only have white shirts and you don't have any color, you don't have any other neutrals? Like, so you're going to start seeing, okay, well, these are the pieces I'm actually wearing. Your wardrobe is not everything that's in your closet. Your wardrobe is the pieces that are the current season, your current size, and that you're currently reaching for. So really be clear with yourself because often we look and we're like, I have so many clothes, but do you really? Do you really? Or are you only wearing 10% of those clothes? Identify those clothes, pull them out, assess that as if it's your wardrobe. That is your current working wardrobe. You don't have to make a decision about any of the other items. You're going to play with that 10% for now. You're going to wear that 10%. You're going to style that 10%. You're going to make the most of those pieces. And it's going to quickly jump out at you what you're missing to finish outfits with that 10% of your wardrobe. And then after you work with and you style and you wear those clothes for a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, the rest of your clothes are going to kind of retreat into the background and you're going to have real clarity on what works for you and what doesn't work for you, what you really want to wear at the stage in your life, what was working for you at the stage, your body, all of that now. And then the other pieces are going to become very easy to edit. And you're going to be able to very quickly make that distinction about what you want to keep and what you want to let go of. I would also say every single day, I don't care what you're wearing, every single day, whatever you put on, you need to take a daily outfit picture. If you only take one thing from this entire conversation that we're having, take a picture of what you're wearing every single day. Nothing is going to give you more clarity on what works for you, what doesn't work for you. Have you ever spotted yourself in the back of someone else's picture, like when you're caught off guard and you're like, oh, I didn't think I looked like that in that outfit. Like there's a degree of separation that happens when we take a picture that doesn't happen when we look in the mirror. And if you really want to know how you look in your clothes, I don't care if you're in sweats, or I don't care if you're going to church and you're all dressed up, take a picture every day. You're going to learn a lot about the colors, the silhouettes, the fit, the fabric, what your go-to pieces are. You're also going to learn about your lifestyle. Sometimes we fool ourselves into thinking we dress up or we dress down more often than we do. And then you actually look at what you've worn over the last couple of weeks and you're like, man, so it's very eye-opening and a huge revelation. Yes, it can be a painful process. Someone just said to me last week, they're like, oh, that sounds hard. I'm like, it's only hard at the beginning. It's only hard at the beginning. And you're only comparing yourself to yourself. You're comparing yourself to yourself. You are your own standard. You do not compare yourself to a model on Instagram. Like
I love that. You compare yourself to yourself. As you're sitting here talking, I'm going, okay, Pearl, it's time to go take that entire shelf I have like 5 shelves of clothes that I've never been wearing. I've been in this house now 3 years. Like we had a much bigger house, a much bigger closet. I purged that closet as much as I thought I needed to. And now as you're talking, I'm going, I have those 5 shelves. I don't think I've worn any of that stuff since I've been here. They don't serve me anymore. They need to go. Right. So
it's so easy at that point.
Yeah.
If you're on the fence with something, put it in a transitional box and visit that box in 3 months. You've already done that by putting it on the shelf, but visit that box in 3 months. If you don't even remember what's in that box, at that point, you're going to be like, oh, It's very easy to get rid of the stuff. Like, but if you're like on the fence, you're like, oh, I spent a lot of money on it, or I really used to love that, or that used to make me feel so cute, whatever. Put it in a box and it's in a transitional spot. Like, I'm not an advocate of over purging. I don't want you to get rid of everything and then I can't tell you how many people have called me, how many clients have called me and said, I just did a major closet purge and now I need to buy all new clothes. I'm like, no shopping under duress. That's one of my main rules. You
I
don't
love
shop
that.
when you're in a bind because you're going to overspend and you're going to buy something you didn't love to begin with. That's why
Right.
I always say buy it when you find it, not when you need it. Buy it when you find it, not when you need it. Because the worst time to be shopping for a cocktail dress is when you got an imminent cocktail party coming up on your
Right.
calendar. So those are strategies like don't over purge, but put those things that you know that you haven't worn in a while and you're really on the fence about, put them in a box, revisit it later.
I
I
love
give you
that.
permission to procrastinate.
I love that. Oh my gosh, this has been such great information. I love the, the simple, get something simple, the top, the jacket, the good pair of jeans or pants. I love that. That was, and then I love how you said, don't get something that's going to date it, right? Keep it
Yeah.
that modern, simple, neutral. I love that. This has been so much fun. So I know we got to let you go because you're going to be going doing a summit. But before we do, part of what we talk about, a lot of what we talk today has been so much about self-care because dressing, feeling good really is truly pours into your self-care. And so that soulful self-care, it just makes you feel really good inside. When you feel good on the outside, you feel good even better on the inside, right? And I love that I also love you said don't shop and direct like that diary,
Under
which is why
duress.
yeah, which is why I've been like right now been looking, for because the wedding's not till October, but I've been looking now. So I find what I want, what I'll be comfortable in, and I found some things and I love my daughter-in-law. She's like, can we not do that? I'm like, sure, whatever, so I love that you share that with us. So will you tell us, thinking about the journey with your community and we have a great community. I started a community during COVID. I saw this need of women who were at home that were entrepreneurs or professional women. They were also moms, or I call CEO moms. That instead of the stay-at-home mom, I call you a CEO mom because you're running a house as a business. But
Yeah.
I saw the seed of like all these women who have had kids at home or didn't have kids but had somebody else at home all day with them, and they had to be in the same house together being like, oh my god, what am I going to do? I've never been a teacher, now I got to learn to teach. And all I just saw everybody so stressed out, so I decided I need to do something, and it's turned into my community. It's called the Shira League. We were doing a 30-day self-care challenge, being like, okay, we need to take care of you. What can we do? You're going to give me an hour every day during this crazy COVID time to do something for you, right? And it's turned into that community. So for those that are on your journey and you create this community, what are you seeing? What first of all, would like to know, what are you seeing that 45 plus individual woman, what's the number one thing that you see that they're maybe not doing for themselves that they probably should do for themselves in your community? And then also tell us what's your favorite thing you do for self-care.
Oh, good questions. Okay. So the first thing I think that I see that women are not doing for themselves is they're not dressing for themselves. I don't want you to dress for other people, not for your friends, not for your spouse. They're going to respond to your energy, not to your clothes. So they're going to respond to how you feel in your clothes. If you feel fabulous in your clothes and you feel and look and radiate beauty in your clothes, your husband isn't going to care about the particulars of your outfit. He's going to care about how you feel in it and how you look in it. Your friends are going to respond the same way. People around you in public as you're going around are going to respond the same way. So dressing for yourself means that you dress at home and you pay attention to how you dress in your downtime and to elegance and to self-care in your downtime. Your PJs matter. Your athleisure matters. Your at-home clothes matter. There is never, unless you're painting a room, there is no reason for you to ever be in like gross, frumpy, stretched out, dated, stained, ripped, whatever clothes. Like treat yourself with the level of respect and love that you would treat someone else. And so dress for yourself. That means clothes that make you feel beautiful and dressing even when no one is looking. A lot of women in 45, 55, especially 65 plus are spending a lot of time at home. And they just don't see the need to get dressed. Get dressed anyway. Get dressed anyway. So that's the number one thing. For me, self-care Um, Self-care is putting getting ready for the day on my daily calendar. So I always say, everyone's heard about atomic habits and habit stacking and how you can link one habit to another habit. If your goal is to get dressed for your day every day in a way that makes you ready for your day, makes you feel positive, makes you feel productive, then link that habit to something else that you're already doing. So for example, my daughters leave for school every day at 7:45 a.m. My older daughter drives my younger daughter to school. At 7:45 a.m., I go straight upstairs and I get ready for my day. I do not go to the kitchen and start putting dishes away. I do not sit at my desk and start answering emails. If I do that, then I look up and it's 11 a.m. and I haven't gotten dressed yet. So I go straight upstairs and I have a minimum beauty routine that I hit every single day. And it's going to be different for everybody. Maybe you're a chapstick and ponytail type of girl, and that's awesome. But you do what it takes for your beauty box to be checked every day, hair, skin, makeup. And then you put on an outfit for your day that is appropriate for your day, but also a step up. It doesn't always have to be practical. It doesn't always have to be practical. Like sometimes you just want to dress beautifully and dress for your energy level that day. And some days we're just not feeling it, and you need outfits for the just not feeling it days, the days when you really do want to stay in your PJs but don't have the option of doing that. And I feel like those days should be few and far between. PJ days should be few and far between anyway, because we can easily fall into that. So what are like some go-to really, really comfortable but also still cute outfits that you can reach for on those days when you need a no-brainer outfit? So getting dressed every day and putting the face on and making sure my hair doesn't look crazy, that is my major act of self-care. Because if I walk by the mirror, over the course of a day and I'm like, oh, not look good, like that is just that brings me down. So
That is amazing advice. Dress for your day, but also step it up. And on the days you don't feel like it, have that outfit that's, okay, but a little step up too. So I
yeah.
love that. Okay, so everybody that's listening, they're so used to me doing these cards, that are called Better Questions, Better Life. I don't have the cards here with me because I was at another event and I gave them to somebody to have. But I have a question. So we have this jar that we did at our retreat. I do an annual pajama retreat. So we show up in no PJ. We show up in our PJs, no makeup for the entire 4 days. It's September. Our retreat is September 12th to 16th this year and 24. But I can see we made little notes for everybody and we put things in it so we can open them up. We're having a tough day and read it. So I can see one that says, "What is my why?" So real quickly, because I know we got to let you go. What's your why?
So they're two sides of the same coin. It really comes from my heart and serving women and really truly wanting women to feel beautiful and recognize their beauty and celebrate their beauty. I have two daughters that I set an example for. I want them to see me taking care of myself. And I want them to see me building a business and a brand and a community that I love and serving first. I put service first, and then I feel like everything else follows. And then it's also my faith. And this comes from my faith. It stems from my belief that God made each of us uniquely beautiful and that there's nothing wrong with our physical design. And instead, it's really like, how can you bring out the beauty that's there in you? I feel like that's an extension of who we are as women. And so I feel like my spiritual gift is encouragement. And so I'm not, I always say I'm not the fashion police. I'm not judging you for what you're wearing, but I'm here to help you look and feel better for yourself.
You're not the fashion police, but you're here to make us feel better. I love that. So this has been so much fun. I'm just so glad we had this conversation. Let everybody know. We'll put it in the show notes, but tell everybody how they can find you.
So you can find me everywhere at Netta Manley Style. My website is nettamanley.com, and it's not pronounced like it's spelled. So it's Nada Manley.com. Netta Manley Style on YouTube. That's my largest platform right now. I'm also on Instagram as Netta Manley Style. And then I do have a free private Facebook group, Netta Manley Style VIP, that you're welcome to join. I have a free body type video series, lots of great resources, of fashion essentials over 40 wardrobe guide. So lots of fun, free help and advice for you guys there.
This has been so much fun. So those that are listening, we'll put all that in the show notes so you can get in touch with Netta. And I just want to remind all of you that community is so important. And that's why we do have the Shiro League. So if you want to learn more about the Shiro League and how we get together every Sunday evening, 8 to 9 p.m., we're not recorded, but we are on Zoom. And it's a private group where we just celebrate our triumphs, help everybody through our challenges, and learn how to balance and manage the world called life. We'd love to have you join us. So all you have to do is email hello@wsliving.com. That's hello@wsliving.com, the word Shiro, and I will send you the link. In the meantime, I hope you go out today and remember, you are an amazing individual and you need to go find your inner pearly greatness. Have a great day.